Hello friends, welcome to a new watercolor tutorial, and today we will be doing some figures practice in a very interesting way. We will be starting with some scribbles to create some initial idea, and we observe that shapes created by those scribbles, and once we get some idea, once we could see some silhouettes of figures in those shapes, we will convert them into figures. And this part actually is challenging part, that observing the shape and seeing some figures in that is the challenging part, which will take a lot of practice. So once we get that shapes, we can easily convert them into figures, and I'm sure that your figures will improve practicing this way. So without further ado, let us begin the tutorial.
Okay, we are using a small watercolor paper here and a soft round brush. The idea here is I wanted to get some random shapes to get the initial ideas. So what I am doing is I am taking a lighter tone, it is Payne's gray, and with this kind of a soft brush I am just sort of scribbling it here so that I get some initial shapes. These initial shapes are to trigger my ideas. Once I get these initial ideas, I focus trying to find out if I can see some figures there. So in the last one, I think I am finding some a figure in that particular shape, and I am clarifying that idea with some colors. So this is the blue color is the upper body, and I am adding some legs suggesting some movements. See, the shapes can give some initial ideas. The shapes could be the entire body, the shapes could be just the upper part, it could be the lower part. I mean, the idea is that these shapes are for giving you some initial ideas to begin with. Now I am progressing with the next shape. I got some idea, so I will not be able to explain what that idea is. I am trying to clarify that idea by myself. Sometimes what happens is that we get the idea in a vague way. We don't have still very much clarity there, so we can keep on working on that and define it or make it more and more clear. And sometimes it may so happen while you practice this, it may so happen that you get some idea, you try to clarify it, and in the process it might get spoiled. It may no longer look like a figure, but don't worry, this is a practice. Let me tell you that this is a very challenging thing. If you are not used to this, if you are not familiar with this, you haven't been practicing this, it will be really challenging. So it is something that takes a while to get used to, but once you get that idea, you get used to this process, it makes you will be very imaginative when it comes to creating figures. So this is something that we are tuning our imagination, or we are kind of warming up, you are kind of working out on our imagination muscles. Okay, now this seems to be the three figures. This figure is little tilted, so I am maybe defining a dog to match with that movement. See, the body bending should make sense. So if the body is bent in a certain way, try to add some properties so that the bend is purposeful. It has a purpose. So this is something that we keep working and we keep developing. Don't worry about the specific colors that I am using. I am using here mauve, cobalt blue, cerulean blue, and Payne's gray. The colors are not that important. Maybe the tones are important, because usually the lower body I apply dark colors, because the lower body doesn't hit or doesn't get too much of light, considering it's an open air and we are talking about sunlight. Okay, this I feel that a person is riding a bike, so I'm trying to clarify that by first attaching sort of some suggestion for a bike. Okay, it doesn't have to be precise. See, these are very tiny figures, it doesn't have to be precise. It can be just suggestive, and in an actual landscape or streetscape where you are actually putting these figures, these are going to be very small in size in comparison with the rest of the elements of the scene. Okay, so it doesn't have to be precise, it doesn't have to be perfect. Suggestions, and while doing the suggestion, the relative size of various body parts, kind of perspective, that is very important. So I'm not talking about the perspective and the proportion etc. for this, because that itself will become very detailed or complex topic. If you think I need to create a video for those, please do let me know. I will, if there are sufficient requests, I will then see that okay, a lot of people need that information. I can then work out a plan for a tutorial for those things. Now this much is sufficient. So I have kind of added some level of clarity. I will add more clarity going forward, and I'm not clear. Okay, let us make some figure here. It could be, I'm getting a sense that it could be a lady figure, and she is moving away from us towards the horizon. She is walking. So let us define it in that way. So it is tricky to distinguish between a male figure, female figure and all. You need to kind of understand the body proportions for male and female. There are not much difference. There are a little bit of differences, of course. For the female figure, usually the hip will be a little wider and the shoulder will be narrower. So there are certain feature differences. So you can kind of take that into consideration. In most of my figures, you will see that the legs are not identical. The shape for the legs, that is purposefully done to suggest some movement, some kind of aggressiveness in their body language. So that is what I'm trying to do here. These I don't know about very see, sometimes the shapes are not clear about it. It may not suggest anything specific, but then you can imagine, okay, you can alter the shape and you can create something meaningful. In my demonstration, my exercise also, you can see that in the background behind those figures there are little touches of those light tone shapes. The initial scribblings still be left out, but that is okay. So we are not trying to make use of every little shape that we have created initially. We are trying to find out what are the shapes are making sense to us as a figure. Use those shapes, and any other leftover shapes you can ignore it. So if you practice it more and more, you will get more and more ideas for people doing actions, and you will also get better with your proportions and perspective. So to get it right, you may have to do a lot of sketches. It is a good idea to sketch a lot. So whenever you go out, try to observe people performing different actions and try to sort of memorize that, or what are the various, how the various body parts are aligned in relation to one another. Try to kind of analyze that, try to memorize some of those perspective stuff, and try to do a lot of sketches, and all those things that you learn from those sketches will be helpful here. So you need to, along with this practice, you need to also do some sketches. See, learning figures is not easy, okay, it takes a lot of effort, it is complex. So but if you practice it with little observation, little imagination, you will find that after some initial hurdles, you will find that it is easy. Once you reach that point where you start finding it easy, you will find that you are much more confident with these figures, and you will start liking it. You will be no longer hesitating to put figures into your landscapes and streetscapes. So please do practice. Let me know if you have any question. If you are finding value in this tutorial, if you think it is helpful, please do press that bell notification icon and subscribe to my channel. Okay. So, and any question, any suggestion, please do write them into the comment box below. I'll be more than happy to get back with my answers. Okay, so here I'm just giving the final touches with some orange color, some kind of thick pigments. It is some kind of some suggestive brushworks or impressionistic brushworks that I'm doing, just to give the final touches. Now you can see that it is making much more sense. Okay, figures are having much more. I mean, they are fine. I mean, you are finding that they are performing some actions and they are kind of a little bit aggressive. Okay, so that will add a lot of emotion to your works. It will add a lot of stories to your work, and your works with these kind of figures will look more impressive, more communicating, and viewers will start liking it. I usually add slight touches of white, pure watercolor white, to give some highlights. Here the highlights may not make much difference because the background is pure paper white. So the white touches with the background of pure paper white may not make much impact, but if the background was more colorful with the different tones, then these white touches will make a good amount of drama. The figures will start popping up. Okay, so I hope you're finding it informative. Please do practice. Okay, so without practice, if you just follow this video, nothing is going to happen. You have to practice. You have to come out with your own figures. Don't try to recreate precisely the shapes that I have initially scribbled. Don't try to precisely create the figures that I came out with. You do, create your initial shapes by your scribblings. Try to see those shapes and try to create figure in your own way, which matches with your initial shapes. That is the idea of this particular exercise. Okay, so these shadows are just for creating some interest, and I think I always do these kind of some directional lines to create some sense of depth. That is just to create a little bit of interest to this particular piece of work. This is not otherwise a complete piece of work. It is just a kind of an isolated exercise to create figures. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions or suggestion. Hope you liked it, and we will see you with another tutorial.
Thank you very much for staying with me. I hope you enjoyed this video and you liked this way of practicing. Please do practice. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to get used to, getting better with the figures, because we need to understand the perspective and the proportions, etc. that you will get to know with the practice. Do a lot of sketching, and if you find this video as informative, please do write your feedback in the comment box below. If you have any questions or suggestions, please do write that also in the comment box below, and I'll be happy to come back with my answers to your questions. So if you like it, please also share this video to your friends who might also benefit from this video. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.